bow to the masters. Break it down.
Welcome to another edition of the Muddy River Breakdown with Shuck Daddy and D.O.B. I'm Shuck Daddy. He's D.O.B. There you have it.
Show's over.
What's going on, buddy?
Nothing. What do you know?
Not a whole lot.
Is it Christmas week for you? Are you like, I know we talked a couple weeks ago about how you were excited about just having stuff to do, but now that you had soccer start earlier this week, you got football, huge football Friday night. Are you in heaven?
Well, we get a double dose of football this week because we get 2 Thursday night games. So, with Brown County and Pittsfield are both playing host to games on Thursday night because of the official shortage.
Thank you, official shortage.
Yeah, so they could not, there simply weren't enough officials to get all the games in on Friday night. So both of those schools moved their season openers to Thursday. So you get a double dose of opening night.
So I've got one question for you.
And I've got one for you, but I'll start with yours.
Are you ready? Are you ready for some football?
I am dying for some football. Because I got to see some football earlier this week.
Are you starting watching the English Premier League like me?
No, I'm not. But I've been out to the Quincy University scrimmages, and then I got to watch Quincy Notre Dame open its season on Monday night. The boys soccer team at Quincy Notre Dame, that is. And so now the attention shifts as the week progresses then to the other football, the American football.
Now, going to just touch on Q&D real quick, 3-0 loss in this opener. That is not unexpected, and it's not a red flag for anything because these guys are going to be pretty good.
Pure Notre Dame's going to is loaded for one, and they're a traditional powerhouse, much of the way Quincy Notre Dame is. But Quincy Notre Dame's going to be just fine.
Quincy Notre Dame is in 1A, correct, for soccer?
Yes.
And Pure Notre Dame's like 2 or 3A or something? Okay.
So, yeah, they won't run into them.
I can't imagine too many Class 1A schools being able to match Notre Dame when it comes down to it.
No, not really. And if Notre Dame plays its style and really takes care of business in the midfield, they'll be just fine.
So the sky's not falling?
Oh, no. Well, one loss doesn't ruin everything.
All right.
So lessons learned, move forward. Had a couple guys that were out last night, or as we tape this on Tuesday, who were out on Monday night. No, I'm not worried. Okay. I stand by my prediction that they could still win a state championship.
Oh, you're on record of saying that.
I am, and I'm not changing that.
I wouldn't at this point either. Not one game in.
Not one game in. So my question for you.
Yes.
Do you have Albert Mania?
Oh, my goodness gracious. How cool has this been?
We're talking about Albert Pujols, obviously.
Yes.
This is awesome. Literally every night, he has become must-see TV.
It's like 2004 all over again.
No. And there were times, when you and I were working at the Herald League together, and we'd have games on in the office. If we were both in the office. You and I would both stop whatever we were doing when he came to bat.
Correct.
I find myself doing that again.
You have to. I was flipping around last night to make sure that I watched some of it, and the Monday night game was really quick because both pitchers threw really well.
Oh, wow. It was a great game.
The game itself took only over 2 hours, but I was just flipping back and forth because actually I found season 1 of Raw on Peacock Network, so I was watching season 1 of Raw with Vince McMahon, Bobby the Brain, and Macho Man as your announcers. Yes.
You were in heaven, weren't you?
I was literally watching for 3 hours straight.
It doesn't surprise me one bit.
I had to look up dudes, and they had this guy named Adam Bomb that was on there. I was like, who the heck is Adam Bomb? It was some jobber, but they were because he was big and muscular, they made him out like he was squashing guys.
Oh,
and this was when Razor Ramon.
Oh,
he was the bad guy, and the 1-2-3 kid had just pinned him for the first time. You know who the 1-2-3 kid is?
I don't remember who that was.
X-Pac.
Oh, that's right.
X-Pac was the 1-2-3 kid.
Oh my, that's right.
And so that was one of the storylines. It was just it was gloriously bad.
But so you took breaks from that to flip over to the Cardinal Cubs game,
yes. But what Albert's doing right now is just amazing. Now, again, I know everybody right now is like, oh, he's going to get 700, no problem. I'm not sold on that yet,
I'm not
though.
either.
He's on such a heater right now, and he's got 14 homers on the season.
Yes.
7 of which have come in the last 13 days or something like that.
He's on a heater, and when that cools off, is he gonna have can he extend this long enough to give himself a legitimate shot at getting to 700 before season's end?
I don't know. I mean, and
I don't know.
I don't think he's, he is, obviously he wanted to come back for one more year in St. Louis, and he wanted to end his career as a Cardinal.
Right.
I think if he were able to get close to 700, I think he's going to be fine with that.
I think so,
But I don't
too.
think that's what drives him at all.
I don't think he's going to get to 698 and go, or 699 and go, okay, I'll come back and hit number 700 next year and then walk away.
No.
I truly believe when he says that he's done at the end of this year, he's done.
Yeah, I agree too.
Because I don't think the numbers are what drive him.
No, it's been a great swan song for him. My favorite thing about earlier this week when he hit number 693 was this Jim Passon, whoever he is. Who is Jim Passon? Let's see who he is. He's a stat hunter and an author. He's got 16,000 followers. I don't follow him, but he popped up on my timeline.
Okay.
Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell and Vladimir Guerrero, both another Hall of Famer, had 449 home runs in their career.
Correct.
That was a Hall of Fame career.
Yes.
Well, Albert has hit 449 home runs off of 449 different pictures.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's just nuts.
I mean, the fact that he is nearing 700 alone is just mind-boggling.
Which leads me to this question, and we've seen a seismic shift in our lifetimes of what baseball was then and what it is now. It's so micromanaged now. I don't know that guys will be around long enough to hit 700 home runs. I don't, obviously 20-game winners are so rare right now.
Correct.
Do we get another 300-game winner? Do we get another 600 homer guy? Will Albert be the last one to even come close to 700?
And you bring that up, and I think what's interesting about that is the Hall of Fame discussions that are ongoing now and will continue to go on center around, will pitchers that have 200 career victories, do you consider them Hall of Fame worthy? 300 was the mark at one point in time.
So Adam Wainwright's closing in on 200 wins.
Yes. So
No.
See, and that's going to be the interesting conversation, is because the game is played differently, and because it's managed differently. How do you change your perspective on the numbers? Because baseball is such a numbers-driven game.
They're gonna these nerds will look at something else. Jacob deGrom, is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know. He's had a couple good years and a couple Cy Youngs. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But
somebody's going to create a number to legitimize some of these guys that don't reach the historic milestones. Kind of like WAR.
Oh yeah, WAR. Is that going to be what things people are going to look at?
I still don't even understand it.
You don't understand WAR.
I don't want to.
You know it.
No, I don't even care.
You know what it stands for.
I know what it stands for, but I don't care
understand it either.
Because it's a made up stat that, okay, a home run, you hit a ball out of the ballpark, you touch all four bases, there's a legitimate stat.
Total bases,
If a guy's on base and you hit a single and he scores, you get an RBI. We know what that is. WAR is some made up statistic by a bunch of nerds.
You're anti-WAR. You're anti-analytics, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Because it's just like the other night. Albert's 4 for 4.
Yes.
And they took him out of the game because the righty versus lefty stuff and put Nolan Gorman in. Who gives a...
Well, he got a hit, though.
I know he got a hit and they had a big inning, but so what? A guy is 4 for 4 and you take him out because they went to a reliever and it was a righty instead of a lefty.
2004, Chuck and DOB would have saw that. Stan and we would have stood up in the newsroom and want to know. We would have wanted Russo's head at that
Well, they wouldn't have done it in 2004.
No.
But
this makes no sense because this guy's on a heater.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, if you can only hit a righty or a lefty and you can't hit the other, you're not a big leaguer. You're not a legit big leaguer.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Mr. Get Off My Lawn. What about shifts? So are you glad that they might be outlawing
shifts? Don't have you should be allowed to shift.
You're allowed to do what you want.
Because here's the deal. In basketball, you can do a box and 1. You can do a triangle and 2. You can do things like that. In football, they don't say, okay, you have to line up with four down linemen, 3 linebackers, 4 defensive backs, and you can't shift anybody. They have to play that on that side of the ball. On this, if you want to overload one side of the ball, kind of like on offense in football. If you want to put 4 wide receivers on one side of the field, go for it.
So then you're like, if you're not a real big leaguer, if you can't hit the ball the other way when there's nobody at.
Yeah. So to me, a shift is no different than any other sport where they shift defenses. And so what?
So
hit the ball the other way.
The more important thing that's going on right now with our St. Louis Cardinals is the fact that they now have 70 wins. They're 5.5 games up as we record this.
Right.
Are they? Well, the most important
They're going to
thing
win the
is
division.
They're only 14 and a half. They're 15 wins away from me hitting the my over 84 and a half.
84 and a half.
that I bet preseason.
So you're going to be rolling in the money soon?
Oh, all 25 or $50 of it. Yes, I'm gonna be. I'm gonna go to Sizzler that night, I think, and get some. Do they have a Sizzler around here? Is Sizzler still around?
I don't know. I don't know where. I have not seen a Sizzler in a long
movie that's
time.
a callback to.
Yeah, and it's my mind's blank and totally blank.
White men can't jump.
White men can't jump. There
Woody
you go.
Harrelson wanted to go to Sizzler after
right.
he won some tournament.
That's right.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are in good shape.
I do too.
How do the playoffs work this year? Explain it to me. I mean, are they if they need to be the top 2 division winners to get a bye? Explain it to me.
Something like that.
Do you even know it?
No, I mean, I've been so immersed lately in high school athletics that all I've been doing is watching the Cardinals, and okay, they keep winning. Great. Okay, that's all I need to know right now.
You have.
I haven't even thought that far ahead.
But it's nice to be at the point where we've been on different media platforms. We used to do a radio show, and back in 2011, the late Josh Houchins and I famously had a funeral for the Cardinals in about this time of year.
Yep. You provided the eulogy, if I remember correctly.
I did provide the eulogy, yes. And they wound up coming back and winning the World Series.
Then they went on a heater.
And they went on a heater at the end.
Yeah.
Not as hot as they were at the end of last season.
No.
When they won, 17
17
games
in a row, yeah.
But still.
But they're on a heater right now. And it's great to see. It is fun to watch.
And you know what? A lot of Cardinal Nation was giving Mo a hard time at the trade deadline
because of the Juan Soto deal.
Yeah, because everybody's wanting Juan Soto, and I'm in that group. I don't think I tweeted anything about it. I don't know if there's any receipts out there, but I'm like, just trade for the guy. But credit him. This Jordan Montgomery guy's been unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Quintana had a rough outing on Sunday, but other than that, he's been fabulous.
They made the moves they needed to make,
yes,
not the moves that were popular.
Yes,
if Mo just wanted to appease the masses on social media, he would have done whatever it took to get Juan Soto. Instead, he looked at what the Cardinals needed to potentially win in the postseason, and he went and made those moves.
Great job by him. So
no question.
Yeah. So you think there's going to be October baseball in the STL then?
Thank goodness, because I don't know if there's going to be a lot of college football love for those of us that are Mizzou and Illini fans around here. We need something to distract us in October.
We're opening up. We're going to open up 1-0 at. Are we home or away? Wyoming. We got Wyoming this week. I think we're maybe at Wyoming. I don't even know.
I don't know.
That's how much of a fan I am.
Yeah. So
when Mizzou loses, you can just blame Eli. Because he had Tyler Macon as his QB. I'm a huge Tyler Macon fan.
I know you are.
East side high.
However, did you see that we can go purchase Luther Burden potato chips?
Yes. Okay, and how cool is so
that's
here's
cool.
A kid that comes from not much.
Right.
And now he's, 18, 19 years old. He's using that, athletic ability to capitalize on it and make some money.
It's great. Good for him.
Awesome.
It's awesome. I reached out to my nephew that lives in the St. Louis area and said, do you grocery shop at Schnucks? He goes, of course. And he said, okay, be on the lookout for these because that's where they're going to be marketed. The Luther Burden potato chips are going to be in stores in Schnucks.
I don't think they're going to be as popular as the Matt Carpenter salsa back in the day.
Probably not.
I really had to get Matt Carpenter salsa for people because I was living down there at the time.
Right.
I had to ship it across. I had a friend she's a huge Cardinal fan. She lives in Arizona, a girl I grew up with, and I shipped her. Not only did I ship her the salsa, but we went to some game and it was like salsa T-shirt giveaway. I shipped her a T-shirt too. So
I started a thing this week in talking with high school football coaches and some of the athletes.
Yes.
And I'm throwing one phrase at them and getting their response, and I'm going to put it together to put on our website later this week.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw it at you.
One phrase.
Tell me what comes to mind for you.
Okay.
And obviously yours is different because you're taking it from a fan perspective, / former reporter's perspective. Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights.
What comes to mind for you?
The first thing that comes to mind to me is atmosphere. What am I going to eat pregame? I want a good pregame meal.
Okay.
And it's just a sense of community. So those are probably three things. You only wanted one thing?
No, that's good. I mean, some of the answers I've gotten were it's on. It's payday. Like you do all this work in the off season, you do all this work in the preseason, and you finally get a check, you cash your check on Friday night for Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a cool analogy that was used.
I'm looking forward to Friday night just for the simple fact that we both will be out at 10th and Jackson.
Correct.
The city of Quincy will congregate there. It'll be a great, just a great atmosphere, a great night for the city. It's
So are you going to walk the sideline, or where are you going to put yourself?
Will I walk the sidelines? Of course I'm going to walk the
figured you
sidelines.
would.
I walk the sidelines whenever I get a chance to walk
Yes.
the sidelines. Now, that's not to say that if it gets a little, if it's not going to rain, but if it rains, DOB sometimes heads up to the press box.
Right.
But more often than not, I love walking. I love the guy I used to love walking the sidelines with the most was on Hannibal football when Mark St. Clair was the head coach. Because you just never know when he's going to turn to you and say whatever he was going to say to you as you're sitting there.
True.
Plus, they have a great crew, a great, just a great bunch of people.
One of my favorite sideline moments came when I was back in Columbia, and I was covering Columbia Rockbridge and legendary Hall of Fame coach John Hennage. And so I'm on the Rockbridge sideline, and he comes over to me in the middle of the game. He goes, "Hey, get ready. Coming right at you right now. This play coming right at you." And he stood there with me then, and then here comes the play, and then he kind of turns to me and goes, "Did you like that play call?"
Right.
It was great.
Yeah.
And you get some atmosphere down on the sideline that you don't get anywhere else.
Yes.
I'll be in the end zone, obviously taking pictures and doing my thing. Coach Connell has my spot reserved for me.
Should we ride to the game together? Because I don't know if I'll get a good parking
Well,
spot.
you could, but you're gonna have to go awful early because it's a long day of activity at 10th and Jackson because the QND soccer tournament starts Friday afternoon. So before the festivities kick off for Friday Night Lights, QND soccer team will be hosting Ladue Horton Watkins in the first game of their tournament at Advanced Physical Therapy Field. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go out for that and get some photos and do a little football work before I concentrate on football work.
Should be a fun night, though. I'm looking forward to that game.
I am too.
Now, our friend in crime, Chris Dewar, put out his Dewarisms earlier this week, where he makes his feelers predictions. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I have not looked at those yet. They're on my to-do list to get done after I get a few more things done.
He has Notre Dame 14, Quincy High 12.
It's going to be higher scoring than
Exactly. That's my first blush. Is I'm taking the over.
Yeah,
If
no
our over-under is
question.
26. I'm
No
taking the
question.
over. Way over.
that. Yep. Because I think the issues these two teams have lie up front, and I think those are, if there's concerns for both of those, they lie up front, and that's going to lead to, especially week one, the opportunity for the offenses to make some headway.
The biggest thing that if you're a Quincy High backer, I think you've got to hope they get off to a better start than they did last year. If you remember last year,
Yep.
Opening kickoff return, I can't remember by whom. Was
Ben
it
Casper,
Ben Casper, yes.
and then the block punt that Jackson Stratton recovered for the touchdown.
And it was 14-0 before, or 12, whatever
Yeah.
it was. It was 2 touchdown difference
But-
before you could even get your seat warm.
So I think they're pretty evenly matched. So like with Dewar's prediction that it was going to be a tight scoring game, I agree with that because I think they're pretty evenly matched. East to west, I think Notre Dame might be better. North to south, Quincy High might be better.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm anxious to see how Rick Little uses Aiden Byquist.
Yep.
Because he was I tell you what, that kid last year as a quarterback, because I got to cover them probably 5-6 times last year.
Right.
He probably doesn't have the same arm kind of strength, but he's not he doesn't throw a bad ball. But he's just an athlete, and it'd be interesting to see how he's going to use him.
Right.
They've got a couple running backs, Jarius Rice, who's a sophomore. I'm interested to see what he does.
Same here.
They've got a bruising back in Brian Douglas. They can change it up with Jarius Rice a little bit with some speed.
And the little can wing it.
He can throw a football, yes. So I'm interested to see that. On the Notre Dame side, of course, my son has played in sports with all these kids at some point in his life, and he and Jackson Stratton used to play they played flag football together, they played basketball together when they were little pups, and I knew when I saw him play football, I figured he'd be a heat-seeking linebacker when he was in high school.
And that's sort of what he's going to be.
And I'm like, when he was 10, I was like, okay, that kid's
Right.
going to be a football player,
Yep.
and he's going to be good, and he is good.
He is very good.
I think Notre Dame goes as he goes. I mean,
there's no doubt about that.
He's going to be their quarterback. He's going to be doing a lot of things there.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's defense is probably a little bit ahead of Quincy High's.
I would agree with that.
Just based on obviously.
I think with experience and based on the core group of linebackers, especially, and then you throw in a couple guys in the secondary, a guy like Charlie Lavery. So I think, but the best linebacker in town might be at Quincy High, and Ty Douglas.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Division I type prospect.
Yes. I know
Max
that.
Wires is nothing to sneeze at either.
No, not at all. Max Wires is going to be...
Again, two younger kids, a junior and a sophomore.
Right. And Ty Douglas has already had at least one Big Ten school contact the coaching staff to kick the tires a little bit and just see how will he mature, how will he progress, and those sorts of things. So, I mean, there's some interest there.
In my 25 years of being around Quincy and Quincy football, every time Notre Dame has a team, it's who's going to be the running back. Even back to, it's okay, who's going to lug the rock, and
right.
Who's that guy going to be?
Could be 4 or 5 different people. Like don't expect there to be one guy that's going to lug the ball 25 times.
Hey, you're not giving me a Paz now. Remember Paz one year?
I'm not. No, and then somebody comes out and
yeah. Connell loved to do Paz. No. Okay,
and that's not to say they find a system that works, or a guy who's getting yardage time and time again, so they just keep going to him. So there could be a game where there's a guy that totes the ball 25. But if you expect somebody to get the ball 20 to 25 times a game consistently for the next 9 weeks, it's not happening as of right now.
Remember that? Okay, so the year that I'm talking about, quick Paz story, because I love talking about Paz. That was the year Connell's telling me, gosh, I don't know who's going to run the ball for us. And Paz, of course, lopping it up because he was covering Notre Dame for us back then. I don't know who's going to do it for him, D.O.B. And then Ryan Barter that next game has like 38 carries and 250 yards in the first game. And it's like, Paz, you couldn't have seen this coming.
No.
So
it won't be a situation like that.
We're not going to say George Stickler's carrying it 35 for 250.
Jackson Stratton might carry the ball 20 times.
That I could see.
But he's also the starting quarterback, so he's going to throw the ball some, but the ball's going to be in his hands a lot, not just as quarterback, but he's going to use it. He's going to run they're going to do a lot of things with him. This isn't going to be a traditional set up the pocket, let him sit back there and pick teams apart. They're going to move the pocket. They're going to get him outside. They're going to do a lot of things to allow him to use his athleticism.
Who needs to win this game more?
Quincy High.
To get them to 5 wins possibly for a playoff, or
I think Notre Dame. If you're talking 5 wins, Notre Dame probably needs it more, depending on how that schedule plays out. But I think coming off the fact that Quincy High was 4-5 last year, lost to Quincy Notre Dame, if it truly wants to be a playoff team and set itself up to have success in the conference, it needs to win games like this. It needs to go out there and go, look, we're a 6A program. We're going to take care of business. And if they do that, then they set themselves up to go on a run. So I think in the grand scheme of things, Quincy High needs it more in that sense. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how it turns around.
Back in the day, we would, in the Thursday newspaper, we'd sit there and would make predictions every week of every game and make people either really happy with us or really upset with us. Do you want to do you want to, like Mr. Dewar, put himself on the line? Do you want to, or are you going to do the? Are you going to what's the guy Kirk Herbstreit? Are you going to Kirk Herbstreit me here and say, hey, I'm covering a game? I really shouldn't pick a team.
No, I'm not into picking them. Just not.
Okay, that's fine. I'll follow your lead then.
Okay, I was saying, if you want to pick, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm good.
I'm anxious to see this. I'm
taking Dewar's over at 26.
Oh, I'm definitely taking the over.
Yes, if that's where it's at.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I think it's gonna be an entertaining one.
I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a great atmosphere, and it's time. Friday Night Lights are here. It's and there's so much else going on too this week. I mean, it's good to be busy. It's good to have this going on. You mentioned earlier talking about Friday Night Lights, and get a good meal in. Sometimes you get that meal at the stadium.
Yes.
So I know you're a guy
I'm a big stadium food guy.
But also if you go to Hannibal, you're going to get a pirate dog.
Got
to get a pirate dog and that kind of stuff. But we're doing a thing called Game Night Grub.
Okay.
And so each Friday we're picking an area school that has a home game that week, and we're visiting a local restaurant, along with a coach, a player, and an administrator. Somebody's going to join me at each of these spots. We're going to have a meal and tell you kind of, hey, if you don't want, sure, you can get your pork chop sandwich or your pirate dog or whatever when you get to the stadium, your popcorn, your nachos. But if you're traveling in and you want to stop and get a meal before you get to the stadium, here's a good place to stop.
Do you ever week one spot where we stop at week one?
Fiddlesticks in Hannibal.
Been to Fiddlesticks not many times, but enough to say yes. That's
Hannibal Athletic Director Clinton Graham and I visited Fiddlesticks and had a meal together. What
was that bill?
$727, thanks to Coach Graham.
Because Coach Graham and you guys could probably put away some fiddles.
Well, we're talking about doing a barbecue tour and hitting up all the barbecue spots in our region and giving a breakdown of what's good there, what's better,
This Clint's idea?
Well, he and I have been talking about this barbecue tour idea for a while. So yes, we eventually got to get it off the ground. And see, the Hannibal, he's the athletic director in Hannibal, along with some other Hannibal administrators. They're known for when the Pirates play on the road, of going and finding a place to eat.
Okay.
So obviously they're at home week 1, and then they have 3 straight road games. Week 2 will be in Jeff City, so I'm anxious to see where they go. Week 3, though, they play at Troy, Buchanan. And I'm hearing that there might be a trip to Sugar Fire Smokehouse.
Sugar Fire out there?
There's one in Wentzville.
Oh, yeah. You got it right. Yeah. See, that's where I'm different, because I'm not driving 15 extra miles. If I'm
just
going
for
to Troy.
just for barbecue.
Nah, I'm just lazy though.
Yeah,
I mean, are you driving extra 15 miles to go get Sugar Fire's really good. Not only that, but with Sugar Fire, you can get a ski soda.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, that I did not know.
XL bottling products on there. They don't.
See, I've never been to Sugar Fire.
You've never been to Sugar Fire?
I've never been to Sugar Fire. Never have.
So, like, you were wanting to get the Luther Burden chips at Schnucks. They sell the Sugar Fire sauces at Schnucks as well.
The issue I have with Sugar Fire, and I need to go and try it, but Chris Dewar has posted photos of damn near every trip he's made to Sugar Fire. They put pickled onions on stuff. I want a good pile of barbecue.
You can get a good pile of meat there.
But
we had one 2 blocks from me downtown when I worked in downtown St. Louis. It was fabulous.
They want to do fancy stuff with barbecue. They want to do fusion stuff, and that's not me.
That's like the war of barbecue.
Yeah.
To your baseball. You don't want any of that. You don't care about war. You don't care about fancy stuff on your barbecue.
Good meat, good sauce, good licking. That's all I want.
I could have said something else there, but I'm not, because this is a somewhat family program.
I was wondering if I could get you on that one. But yes, that's my barbecue. Good meat, good sauce, and a good side.
Well, and not that we're getting paid by them at all, but it's certainly worth. I don't know if it was worth 15 extra miles, but
I don't know either.
If you go to a Cardinal game and you want to get something other than Ballpark Village, there's a Sugar Fire right downtown.
So there you go.
Next to some museum down there. I don't know. It's worth it.
I'll take your word for it.
Yes. What else you got?
I think that's it. I think we're ready to go for Friday night, aren't we?
Yes, should be a good time. Any other games? Good Friday night games. I mean, Hannibal's at home.
Hannibal's at home against Elias.
Okay, so to break it down here, you got me and you are going to be at Quincy High.
Yep.
Stevie Dirt is going to be in Hannibal.
He is, and then we're going to have some updates from some of the other games around the area. Obviously, we got 2 games on Thursday night.
You going anywhere Thursday night?
I am.
Where you going?
Debating that right now, which place I'm going to go, whether it's going to be Brown County or Pittsfield. I got to see how my schedule plays out. But yes, I'm going to be somewhere Thursday night.
All right, that should be good.
So yes, it should be a lot of fun. We're going to update you and have photos and stuff from around the area, and make sure to check out MuddyRiverSports.com on Friday night and Saturday each week.
I check it every morning, Chuck.
Good, I'm glad.
I check it every morning. At 8 o'clock, I get my Muddy River News thing in my email, which is very easy for you to do.
Okay.
I go there and I check out. I couldn't believe about this. I'm all this recycling thing going on right now. I'm beside myself on the recycling issue here in Quincy.
Okay.
But then I also slide over to the sports side and see what you're doing.
Well, good. Well, keep it up.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And thanks for hanging out with me Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun at 10th and
time.
Jackson, Advanced Physical Therapy Field.
You betcha.
Let's do this again next week. How's that sound?
Good.
All right. This has been the Muddy River Breakdown with Chuck Daddy and DOB. Join us again next week.
Tell us what to do. Bow to the masters. break it down.